In 1587, Dr. John Bridges first used the expression, "A fool and his money are soon parted," and it is not too far-fetched to assume that Dr. Bridges could have been describing your typical watch enthusiast instead of defending the Church of England. Being a watch enthusiast, collector, or flipper, if you will, can be as affordable or as expensive as you want it to be. But there are many pitfalls. When you can buy a watch for the same price as a typical family home, a plastic bioceramic watch for 5 times its face value, or when you can splash the cash on an NFT watch that only exists in the digital world, you could end up so poor that you would have to open up multiple dodgy email accounts just so you could eat the spam. Watch enthusiasts with partners, especially those who do not share your passion, may experience many awkward conversations. And should you happen to spend that romantic weekend getaway money or kids' college fund on a brand new Speedmaster, your relationship could deteriorate faster than that $1 shirt you bought on Temu. You most certainly don't want to end up like my mate Dino, who, after buying an expensive watch, had to spend a whole month eating his breakfast cereal with a fork, just so that he could save money on milk. So, dear viewers, here are 5 questions every watch enthusiast should ask themselves before they end up going full boil.
Help me. I've gone full boil.
So, you have an inkling that you enjoy watches and you've decided to immerse yourself in this watch community. It would help if you have at least a basic idea of, why am I doing this? Are you someone who just wants to browse and window shop? Or will you actually start a collection? Are you looking for just one specific watch? A cluster of timepieces? Or do you intend to amass a collection so big it will have its own postcode? The quantity isn't important, for as my mate Dino often says, size doesn't matter. If you want to collect watches to boost your social status, it is important to remember that a watch is unlikely to make you more popular, except with your local watch dealer or street mugger. And despite all of the bullshit spouted by influencers, it is highly unlikely that you will be stopped in the street and asked, "Hey, where did you get that great movement watch from?" Will you be a niche, broad, eclectic, or maybe luxury watch collector? And will you focus on a particular brand or price point? Will you have a preference for mechanical watches or the accuracy and lower price point of quartz watches? You then have to decide between automatic or hand-wound movements, often on the same make of watch. Are you getting into watches because your friends are into them, as is the case with many in my social circle? I have joined many great watch groups on social media, where I found lots of helpful people who are willing to provide you with advice and information on new and exciting watch brands. For me, I am personally attracted to historic watches with an interesting background, as well as the quirky and the bold, which many a microbrand are delivering on a regular basis. We'll be presenting a special unconventional video on some of these iconic timepieces at a later date, and we have some right doozies to show you. Your tastes, budget, and knowledge of watches will evolve over time, and while you may take a hit on a few impulse buys early on, you will soon discover many exciting and enjoyable pieces which will come to cherish for life. Knowing how much to spend on your watch collection is almost the equivalent of, how long is a piece of string? Do you intend to primarily collect cheap, moderately priced, or luxury watches? Or will you gather a mix of all of these? Which ultimately will come down to your budget. You should consider only spending what you can comfortably afford on a watch, and this amount varies from person to person depending on their personal circumstances. My wife says we should never do the grocery shopping when we are hungry, as we do end up buying things we don't actually need. Visiting watch stores and browsing the internet can elicit similar feelings, where we become hungry for just one more purchase, which we could possibly do without. It is very easy to get caught up in all the excitement of watch collecting, especially when first starting out. But this is also the time when we are more likely to make yet another impulse buy, instead of a more focused and well thought out acquisition that stays within our intended budget. You should not let unrealistic expectations or desires get in the way of your enjoyment. And if you're not in a financial situation where you can comfortably afford that Targ or Breitling, then find a budget that you can live with guilt-free. That cheap Casio calculator watch you started your collection with can quickly morph into you dropping $1,000 on the pursuit of that Hamilton Ventura just because Elvis once wore one and you think it'd be really cool to walk out of the store with a...
Thank you very much.
Set a realistic budget that you and your family can comfortably afford, and don't let yourself go over this amount. Remember that you will have many years to build up your watch collection. Having to part with a watch in order to pay the bills or to put food on the table is not a path any watch enthusiast should take, and this situation is not exclusive to mere mortals like ourselves. Hollywood actor Russell Crowe had to sell part of his watch collection to pay his first wife's divorce settlement. There is an urban myth that Russell was so upset after the auction that he gorged himself on a stack of burgers obtained by sacrificing his neighbour's cow. While Russell initially felt some remorse for eating poor Daisy, in the end, he was gladiator. There are certainly those who may buy a watch just to impress others, or to jump on a particular bandwagon, or maybe just because an influencer is spruiking it on social media. Some enthusiasts may even buy a watch because they are told that you're not a real collector unless you have a... Then there is the FOMO effect, which can drive you to purchase that limited edition must-have watch just because everyone else has one. I'm looking at you, Moonswatch. So if you are chasing one of these little bioceramic nuggets due to the buzz which occurred at every major swatch store around the world upon its release, stop and ask yourself if you would actually wear it. If a watch looks out of place on your wrist or doesn't suit your personality, don't feel that you must buy one because others say you should. Then there are those who will buy a watch with the misconception that it may impress others or somehow make them a better human being, often with an accompanying price tag. While no one wants to burst your bubble, very few people will give a toss about what you're wearing on your wrist, unless it's just flown into their TV. A watch should suit your taste and personality and be something that you are proud to wear. Buying any watch is unlikely to fix any of life's problems, but it sure can cause some. Sure, the 15 grand you just dropped on that Rolls-Royce Spirit of Ecstasy watch may be of interest to one of your friends, but is it worth buying it if your kids are getting second-hand air guitars for Christmas, or your wife has to buy ordinary K for breakfast using Afterpay? If your purchase makes you feel good and brings you some genuine joy, that is awesome, but make sure it doesn't have a negative impact on the most important things in your life. If you're buying a watch to wear in the water, great. But ask yourself, how many times are you likely to submerge yourself to the depth of 100 meters while hanging out with Aquaman? If the answer is 0, then maybe a Blancpain 50 Fathoms isn't the right watch for you. And a Seiko 5 at a fraction of the price would more than suffice for that actual dip at your local swimming pool. There are absolutely no must-haves when it comes to collecting watches. Sure, if a Seagull 1963 or Bolivar Luna Pilot are your cup of tea, then these are indeed iconic and well-respected timepieces that would add kudos to any watch collection. But the small case diameter of the former and large diameter of the latter are not for everyone and could look out of place. So ensure your purchase suits your wrist, personality and lifestyle. Watch manufacturers will add to your woes with limited release windows, limited editions and exclusive offers for all those who are willing to part with their hard-earned peas. Then there are those watch collectors who are just in it to jump on the latest hype train or to make a quick buck. They will seek out and buy watches due to their rarity, which will lead to shortages, which fuels even greater demand, which inevitably will lead to higher inflated prices. Sellers, flippers will definitely accommodate your desire to obtain any of these watches, as they are now treated as commodities to be sold to the highest bidder often at preposterous prices. Yes, Timmy, I'm looking at you and your sister, raising money for a new kidney, my eyes. They say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and you should indeed buy a watch that you love regardless of anyone else's opinion. I have come across some watches uglier than watching England play football, and this abomination, which looks like it is the forgotten love child of Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog, retails for $200.
Makes you want to have a royal child of your own, doesn't it, Kermit?
While conducting some research for this video, which is hard to believe, I know, I also came across a watch so ugly, the guarantee was an apology letter. But the thing is, I kinda like it. Actually, I really like it. And that's my point. Buy what you love, not what you think others will love. If you want to drop a pretty packet on this classy Rolex, then to paraphrase Bobby Brown,
It's my prerogative.
did you know that the first ever recorded timepiece dates back to the Neanderthal times, when a basic sundial watch was created by a local cave dweller called Gary?
Got it.
Fellow cave dwellers were so shocked by his invention that they immediately dubbed it Gary's Shock Watch. The watch became instantly popular with the local fashionistas, and its name was shortened for marketing purposes to the G-Shock, and hence a legend was born. Now, if you even remotely thought that the previous story about Gary
Got
was
it.
true, you probably also think that seaweed is something that Aquaman smokes, or that pubic hair is a friend of Bugs Bunny. This example reinforces why research is so important. Knowing what is true, what is hype, and what is absolute bollocks will help you to make informed decisions when it comes to buying your next watch. Influencers, mainstream media, and lots of so-called experts will provide you with lots of information about watches. Not all of it will be accurate, and dare I say, honest.
Have 5 reasons why, in my opinion, movement watches are better than Rolex.
Now, to be serious for a moment, if you are considering buying a fake or homage watch, it is important to contemplate why you are buying one and what are the consequences of this. Not only do these watches harm the genuine watch community and all those employed in the industry, but many of the ethical practices used in producing these watches are highly questionable and could come back to reflect poorly on you as the purchaser. The Unconventional Watch channel highly recommends that you do some research before considering this route, or we may send my mate Dino round to your place to have a quiet word. Part of the fun of watch collecting is also immersing yourself in the world of watches, researching the different watch brands, their models, craftsmanship, and distinct features which will make each watch purchase more personal and engaging. You can research watches by browsing the internet, watching YouTube videos, visiting stores, attending watch fairs, or by joining forums and social media groups. This all adds to the exhilaration you feel when you finally get your hands on that watch you have been considering and scrutinizing for days, weeks, months. It is truly one of the great joys of watch collecting. Collecting watches is rarely a solo undertaking, even if you wanted it to be. Those in a relationship or with family responsibilities should know that the money you spend on watches could come at the expense of other things. If these include any of life's essentials such as food, shelter, and healthcare, it is probably best to stop and reflect on what is more important, which to be honest should take no longer than a nanosecond. Watch collecting is also a great communal activity, where engaging and sharing your passion with fellow enthusiasts can enhance your journey and provide you with a valuable insight into the world of horology. It was my mate Dino who introduced me to watch collecting just over a year ago, and it's a story I will certainly address at a later date. And 21 watches later, it is safe to say that I am a convert. Slightly poorer, yes, but definitely happier. Sharing your timepieces with others, or having some general banter on a WhatsApp or friend face group can be informative and enjoyable. You can engage with brands and watch manufacturers by signing up for their newsletters. which will often give you access to launch specials, discounts and limited editions. I've been fortunate enough to engage with the creators of many watches just by sending them a simple email or by asking a question on a group chat. There are social media groups dedicated to most mainstream and micro brands, and of course you can subscribe to this channel, as I will always endeavour to get back to you with an unconventional reply. You have been warned. Share your passion with others, especially those close to you, as it may even give them gift ideas for those special occasions, or at least help them understand the joy you get from your timepieces. The world of watches should be fun, and if you consider the questions posed in this video, it will hopefully not be a negative experience, but will instead provide many years of enjoyment.
Would you like to know more?
Throughout history, great philosophers and scholars have mused about time and the influence that it and some of the great timepieces created by famous horologists have had on our lives. So I wanted to end today with a short story that encapsulates everything presented in this video, brought to you by one of the great orators of our time.
I was passing this guy once on the street, and I was wearing a Rolex, and he goes, "Wow, man, what'd that watch cost?" I go, "I guess at that time, $10,000, $12,000. He goes, "My watch cost $3 and we have the same time." And I go, wow, that's the point. It's not about the time. It's about the sense of accomplishment that you say, okay, I'm gonna reward myself for perhaps doing something right in my life. And that's what watch collecting to me. It's not about keeping time. It's about keeping in step with where you are in life.